talked to him tonight before I came, and he said his place was like a river already, and that nobody's ever came on his property. And he would welcome if they wanted to come through to clean, and he goes up pretty close to where Palmer Square is, his property ends.
All right, let's try to simplify this. All right, so we go to the county says no, the DEP's. Can we in turn contact the DEP and tell them about the plight that the residents are having there?
Yes, we can.
All right, so let's take those steps. The county says blah, 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 let's move on.
I just wanted to bring it up.
No, I'm glad you did. No, because they're right. I mean, if that's blocking there, it's backing the wall up.
I mean,
Once
when
we
you
clear
get this
that,
kind of rain, I mean, I moved my stuff out of the backyard. I got a second garage, I put the car in the other garage because it has flooded. The whole yard will flood out. Once the water comes over the road, it comes down my driveway and then washes the driveway out. And the bridge just acts as a dam. And when she said the county came 2 years ago, they dug out one side of the bridge. They were there 2 hours. And I was out there with him. I said, are you going to dig the other side? And he said, oh, no, we don't have any orders to do that. He called the office, the supervisor, and said, no, we're not cleaning that side. So, I mean, they were counting on the pressure of the water to wash underneath the bridge. You know, it's more than half of the diameter bridge. That bridge was built, what, 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
And they went down quite a ways, and the whole bulkhead right out to the side had to be a good 30, 40 foot wide. And now it's all in. I got a willow tree growing there that's got to be 6 inches in diameter on the bank. So nothing's ever been done there.
okay, so we're going to address it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to close the portion. Do we have a, so the, before us is the, need a motion to adopt memorandum of agreement to move forward, to let the county do the work on Palmer Avenue.
I'll make a motion to create a formal action between,
I hate to interrupt. I just wanted to ask if you would specifically consider authorizing us to proceed as well. Not only move forward with the agreement with the county, but perhaps decide if you want to authorize us to proceed, only in the sense that we have to get DEP permits. It will take several months to do so, and I don't want you to think it's going to take us 6, 8 months to get our work done. We only need several weeks, but we do need to get DEP permits if this project goes forward, and I know that if you decide to go forward, you're going to hope to have construction scheduled, you know, as soon as possible.
Very soon.
So Mayor, that's fine. I would just caveat it with the freeholders, I think, are working on this on Thursday evening. So provided that they also agree to that, then I would recommend we can authorize T&M to move forward.
I agree.
Okay? So that would be a separate motion for T&M, and we have a motion for this.
first motion is going to be to adopt a formal action in joint, in collaboration with the county for the Palmer Road, or Palmer Avenue project.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Cuccelli?
Yes.
Mr. Revaduto?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Okay, my second action is going to be to recommend that T&M continue to pursue corrective actions to alleviate the flooding problem on Palmer Avenue.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes, and I would really like to know when it was done from that middle road all the way down towards 36, so I understand better, because I think there's a big issue there. Yes.
Mr. Cuccelli?
Yes.
Mr. Revaduto?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes, maybe Fran, maybe you could update on future meetings when you find more information out as you proceed.
Yes, we will report back.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank
Fran.
you,
and
Fran.
Dennis, for
Dennis,
coming out.
thank you. I know you guys do a lot of work with this.
Thank you. Next, what did we do there? Okay, let me go. So, any professional update from the attorney, please?
Sure, Mayor. Just 2 items I'd like to update the committee and the public on, and if there are any questions from the committee, please feel free to ask them of me. The first is regarding the New Jersey Natural Gas petition. It was previously denied by the zoning board, and then New Jersey Natural Gas proceeded to file a petition with the Board of Public Utilities seeking a BPU finding that would allow them to proceed with the project on Holmdel Road. I just want to inform everyone that on April 3rd, The township filed a motion to intervene in the matter in opposition to the petition. So that motion was filed in the Office of Administrative Law to the judge that's handling the case. Beyond that, I can't really discuss anything publicly because it's active litigation, but I can provide you that update because that's a public filing. The second matter is the JCP&L matter. As the public's pretty well aware, the governing body is represented in the JCP&L petition, again, before the Board of Public Utilities, represented by the Joint Municipal Group. You've probably caught some press accounts of the Office of Administrative Law proceedings. There have been, I believe, 7 days of testimony, and there are a few more that are scheduled, so that is basically currently an active trial, and the township continues to be represented in opposition to the petition that was filed by JCP&L. That's my update on those two items for everybody. Any questions on those? Thank you.
So I have two other adoptions, resolutions we need. First is call 13A, resolution appointing the Agricultural Advisory Committee. Maureen? Sure.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel that Mayor Gregory Bontempo, DJ Lucarelli, Victoria Flynn, Brian Kaplan, Roscoe Pascucci, and Kim Casola be and hereby appointed as members of the Agricultural Advisory Committee for a one-year term.
Motion? Roll call.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Roberto?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Second is called 13B, which is the appointment of the Recreation Ad Hoc Committee. So the town has decided to issue an RFP to hire a planner/engineer to help us create the template for our recreation plan for the community. RFP went out last week. I think it's roughly a 2-week turnaround time, Administrator?
It's due May 2nd.
May 2nd, and then we're going to hopefully at the next meeting be able to appoint them. We from the volunteers that were offered to support this initiative, we have the members for adoption. Rita? So I have Chris Biamani, Michael Capabianco, Colleen Cook, Joe Crowley, Brian Gordon, Teresa Rampola, Tom Savage, Leah Shea, Chuck Hancock, Francie Campus. We have a motion?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Roberto?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Any updates from the boards, committees? Deputy Mayor Prevituto?
No, I do not have any updates, Mayor.
Committeeman Fratelli?
Nothing tonight.
Committeeman Hines?
No.
Committeeman Nicholas?
Not this time.
I just have one update. The RFP went out for the library. We expect bids to come in first week of May. And then we will hopefully at the next meeting or subsequently thereafter be able to award the bid out for construction of our new library and learning center. With that, I will open it up to the public portion, comments. You come up, state your name and address. Come on.
Jenny Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. I had a question about the 2 consent agenda items related to the Polo Club. The Polo Club has been under construction renovation since before the Red Sea opened.
That's correct.
Can you please elucidate what these 2 resolutions actually say?
Sure. we're all well aware of the status of the Polo Club.
Because the people over on that side of town are just dying to buy a hamburger there.
Or have a drink. Understood. There were two resolutions. They submitted a site plan. It was reviewed by the township engineer, it was reviewed by myself, and it was seen that it was in proper form, so that's been approved. They're also posting a letter of credit for certain renovations in the dollar amount that you saw. That was reviewed and approved as to form as well. They've been in conversations about completing construction. This is simply an approval, as you see, for issuing a letter of credit. It really doesn't dictate much more than that. The onus will be on the landowner.
How does this site plan differ from the site plan that was approved by the planning board, 10 years ago?
I'd have to look at the.
Or why'd they have to do it again?
There's active litigation with respect to aspects of it, so I don't want to get into. I really am hard pressed to get into details on this one.
Okay, so we still don't know when we can have said drink and hamburger. Also, item H, you appointed Dimitri as property inspector. A, don't we have enough property inspectors and data collectors? And B, does this conflict with his position as chairman of the zoning board?
So we posted for an internship position to have someone go out and assess our commercial properties. We're paying them $12.50 an hour, and Dimitri is our only applicant, and he does not have any conflicts, so he's going to go out and take pictures and report back to the assessor, and it's going to save us about half the cost if we had an agency go out and do it for us.
Is this something that in-house we had never done before?
We've always gone out to do it. We usually pay them about $35 an hour, so we're paying someone $12.50, and he has lots of time to do it, and looking forward to doing
Is he
it.
retired now?
I don't know his personal status. You have to ask him that.
All right. Funny. Okay, that's all.
Those comments.
My name is Margaret Goodman, 35 Violet Court. This is Pat Warho and Mary Jo, whatever.
He's a good friend, yeah.
We're here from the Village Grand, and I'm sure you know why. There's a property across the street from us on 35 that is a junkyard. And I have made several, over the past year or two, attempts to have it cleaned up. And I get the same answer all the time. It's farmland. There's nothing we can do about this. But we have farmland all over Holmdel. They don't look like a junkyard. And we look at this place every day. It's got pallets. It's got a truck that's just sitting there. It's awful. You come up 35, you come out of Middletown, and you turn the corner into Holmdel, and it's like, oh my God, there's a junkyard. Why do we have to look at it? Isn't there something that could be done to clean it up? We're not looking to say, move or don't farm. Clean it up.
Yeah, we worked that down.
Yeah, so unfortunately, and you heard the answer, it's farmland.
It's
And-
farmland.
And the truck that you speak about, they use that for storage. That's their reason why it's allowed to stay there. We've actually reached out to the owner several times to ask them, because we really can't enforce it to do something. So as the weather gets warmer again and they're back out there, we'll certainly go back out there again. Unfortunately,
Is that truck registered and insured and everything else?
they use it as a storage facility. It's not a vehicle, and we've been through this many times. We're trying to find loopholes. When we go back out there, when they start to reopen again in the spring, we're going to try to work it out a little differently with them, that they actually move it off the site during the winter months when they're not using it for storage.
Oh, the winter time looks awful.
Absolutely. So we have been trying to work with them. We don't have any jurisdiction, unfortunately, because the right to farm is a pretty broad law in the state of New Jersey, and they have kind of carte blanche to do whatever they need to be able to farm and market their products.
But does that give them the right to make our property values put those down?
Unfortunately, I've talked to the owner myself, and he just doesn't care. I don't know what else to say. He's trying to sell the property, he continues to farm it until it's sold, and he just farms enough to keep his farmland assessment, he just doesn't care. And, I mean, it's a terrible answer, but it's consistently the same answer. The right to farm is broad, and believe me, you can imagine I hear often, it's
I know.
every night that I call home.
I mean, I addressed it with them a number of years ago as well. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of it, he just never does. And as Don said, we just can't enforce it. It's out of our jurisdiction. Farmland is farmland.
I came over here about a month ago. I was told to call the agricultural department down in Freehold. Now, what is this, you have an agricultural department now?
Agricultural committee.
Committee.
Yeah.
Can they help me in any way?
They can only advise.
Yeah, that's just an advisory committee of the
Just
township.
advise.
They
I
don't
mean, I
have-
know that after we heard all this tonight, it's insignificant to you guys.
That's not insignificant.
It's not to us. We're
Yeah.
looking at this place every day.
I'll make contact, I'll meet him and I'll see
Yeah, and
if
then
I
we can go out there again this spring, we can bring, I'll bring maybe some of the letters I have from probably these residents and others, and if we show them the letters, maybe that might resonate a bit with them.
I'll try.
This palace-
Eric tried, Pat tried, I'll try.
You've seen it. you've
I know,
been-
I know,
And this is Holmdel, and we're supposed to be,
I agree.
it's horrible.
I agree.
And I always said if that was in the middle of Holmdel, that wouldn't be allowed. It just wouldn't be.
It's like Donna says, a farm, and if we had jurisdiction, trust me, we've had residents come in and have, concerns about, lawns unkept and people, and we've gone out and with our code enforcement, and where we can, we give them a warning. We said, please take care of this before we do anything.
Right.
This we have no jurisdiction over. Trust me, we Donna and her staff do a very good job of responding to residents' concerns, looking at them, addressing them, and trying to get them resolved. This one, as she said, and Eric said, and Pat said, if they could have done something, they would have done it, probably years ago.
We'll try again.
We'll try.
Yeah, just go clean it up, that's all
Maybe
we're
we'll
asking.
have you bring us, we'll bring you with us.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not even help to clean it up, whatever. But
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I know you've got other problems.
No, we
It's a
are.
problem to us. It's a
That's fine, we'll take,
That's an easy one, it's fixable. All the guys have to do is say, yeah, I'll clean the pallets. It's not a difficult thing to do.
Way, clean up the, it's horrible.
we'll try. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Weber, 4 Duncan Drive. I have 2 different things. The first pales in comparison to the Palmer Square situation, but on my way over, I came down McCampbell Road, which also has flooding that closes the road, and I probably will not be able to go back down McCampbell Road on my way home. It's Warden's Brook that runs through there, and the road looks just like that, actually. So there you go. That's what happens, and they come out and put cones up, and it's only 2 lanes. So when that road is closed, you can't. There's nowhere to go. So I'm wondering if you could take a look and let us know if there's anything that can be done there as well. Thank you. Sorry. All right. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. You know what I'm talking about?
I know where it is,
Yeah. And then my other thing is, I'm glad to see that you're going to RFP and moving ahead with the recreation task force. I did take a look at the RFP and just want to point out a few things. You don't need to comment, I'm just raising awareness. So the introduction of the RFP says the township seeks to provide opportunities for both active and passive recreation, but the scope of services is focused entirely on active recreation specifically, and doesn't mention anything about passive. So I just hope that you'll be looking at both, at the broad sense of what recreation means. In other words, recreation is not just, as was specified somewhere here, soccer and football and team sports. It's also passive individual things that include walking, biking, horseback riding, birding, those are examples.
Those will all be addressed, that's why passive was put in there.
Okay, so it's in the
Yes,
front,
it
it's
is.
just
It is,
not in
yes,
the
it's
scope?
active and passive 100%.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's clear to the bidders on the scope piece. And then the other is just my never-ending Holmdel Swim Club Tennis Center clarification. There's one listed as Holmdel Swim Tennis Center, but it doesn't list tennis courts, and then There's nothing listed for the tennis center.
That's the whole facility. All the facilities in the town are going to be examined and looked at, so that will be included 100%.
Because there are technically two facilities,
That's just
right?
semantics. Everything will be
Okay.
covered.
All right, just making sure, you know,
Absolutely.
this is like my thing.
I was a little nervous. I think
Call
the
Kathy
was
about the
flooding.
pool club, right?
I think I told you the pool was flooding.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that will open and be fine. And then my only other thing on the RFP was that it asked for the township-wide survey to develop a non-statistically valid user opinion survey. And why would we want something that's not statistically valid?
So when you do surveys, there's certain requirements and benchmarks that have to be met. So in something like this, it's not going to be a study done by Harvard University. It's going to be a non-statistical. So they're going to collect data and they're going to analyze it, but it won't
Okay.
be as precise and as a survey might be when you're polling to see who's going to win an election. It's a little different from that.
All right, will we control those so that, again, thinking if this is online, that it won't be one of these things where you can vote 100 times?
Absolutely not.
That's my concern, that it maintains a fair and balanced perspective throughout the entire process,
And the way
right?
we see this going is, once we select the engineer, designer,
Yep,
work with the committee, then they're gonna hold public information sessions, right? So
Right.
it's gonna allow the public to see what's being developed, provide input, comments, recommendations to devise a plan that really tries to touch on all aspects
Yep.
of the town, all age groups, all needs, all necessities. So, and you kind of I see it also benchmarking us against other towns, kind of best in class,
Yep.
to try to, help us determine what the best planned solution is for recreation for our town moving forward. And then we're gonna, move forward, township committee to adopt that.
agreed, okay, good. Just want to keep it as open and fair and, as much sunshine on this process as possible.
Got it?
Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Anybody else from the public comment? Seeing none? Oh, one.
Scott Goldstein, 24 East Lawn Drive, Holmdel. Years ago, prior to engine company number 2 being built, okay, it's my understanding that the town had agreements with neighboring towns for coverage for fire. That's correct. That's correct, okay? We've been without an engine company number 1 now for a number of years. In the interim, while we still figure out how to get this resolved, have we implemented getting serve share agreements with the closer?
Yes, we have mutual aid agreements with many surrounding communities.
Okay, so I should be making my donations to the fire companies that are closest to my house?
Negative, no. Holmdel Fire Company number 2. They respond to all activated fire alarms. They respond to all calls in Holmdel.
Well, I appreciate that, and if you just Google map where Fire Company 1 is to where I live, that's 20 minutes. My house is
Yeah,
down.
and as we've said many times, even when Fire Company 1 was open, for lack of a better word, they never responded.
Yeah, they
Well,
don't
again,
get-
I'm not
Right, so,
picking on
you know,
Engine
as,
Company 1. It's
as,
just the
right.
point that the town built a new fire station on that part of town, Engine Company number 2, because we didn't have adequate coverage. And when I started to do this little analysis, I started looking at other fire companies and how close they were to my house, and they were in Marlboro, in Cold Snack, and Matawan. So,
Yeah, so our first aid and our fire both respond out of Crawford's Corner and Centerville, and it's always been that way for their first aid. So those are the volunteers that volunteer their time in the community, and you can donate to whom you like, but it would be recommended you give it to the residents of Holmdel.
Those guys train hard. And
Absolutely.
believe me, they could appreciate your donation.
Yes.
And the next question is, I'd like to get an update of where we stand as far as getting a company back and running, engine company number 1 or something on this side, on that side of town,
We're taking applications.
taking applications?
Correct.
What does that
For
mean?
members, you need members down there.
Okay. Have you started a campaign? Have you done any advertising?
There's.
There are community day with a table, getting out applications. We held a meeting. They've driven multiple new volunteers in the last 4 weeks. Now they have to go get trained and go through the academy, so it's a process.
Okay. How many new applicants do we get?
About 14 in total.
Oh, well, that's excellent, excellent. glad to hear that we're making some positive, just getting some positive results here.
Yep. Thank you. Anybody else in public? Why not?
Pradeep Chandji, 38 Takalusa. This is regarding the New Jersey gas regulations. As I understand it, the New Jersey natural gas did not include all the comments by the public over the course of 1 year. And there are a bunch of us from the town that attended almost every meeting. We have invested a lot of effort in communicating our feelings about that site. Now, since the
Wait, I'm sorry, what, you're talking about the,
gas regulator,
okay, the regulator.
during all the zoning.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were talking about what's going on, Rage and,
No.
right, I don't know where we were on that. All right.
That's much bigger than this.
Maybe our attorney can shed.
But I just want to set the stage as to where my question is going.
Okay, if you want to ask.
So, yeah, so my fear is that because the New Jersey natural gas has not included all the commentary, I don't know how we responded. I don't know how much of that weightage has actually entered into the discussion with whoever. I don't know if it's court, I don't know how it happens. I don't know what the structure is of resolution. So my question is, does the township now negotiate with the New Jersey Natural Gas with some kind of oversight from the government? Or is it more like a court procedure? What happens? Because I'd like to be more involved, and I think a lot of the residents would like to be involved. So that's my question. I don't know what the process is. I'd like to have some understanding of that process. I'd like to see how we responded, and how can we communicate more and contribute more to that discussion.
Sure. Thank you for your question. I'm just going to give a strict vanilla overview of the Office of Administrative Law process, which is applicable to this. It's actually very similar to the JCP&L hearing process, which I think many of the public have been following fairly closely, in that, in this case, New Jersey Natural Gas filed a petition with the Board of Public Utilities. The Board of Public Utilities then transferred that case to the Office of Administrative Law. So then they have to make their case before an administrative law judge. The township has intervened in that case, so the township is now a party to that litigation. That will proceed before the OAL judge. I really can't speak to what exactly is going to happen, except that if the case proceeds, the OAL judge would have a trial and would then offer an initial decision, which would then be submitted to the Board of Public Utilities for the board's consideration. The administrative law judge, in his discretion, may opt to have a public hearing to get public feedback with respect to the application, and if that's the case, I'm sure the governing body will, use our means of communicating that to the public so that the public can participate in that hearing. That would be a hearing that's administered by the administrative law judge through the Office of Administrative Law, and it would be very similar, if not identical, to the hearings we've seen in the JCP&L matter, except I would imagine that it's a slightly smaller scale here, but it would be the same exact principle.
Okay, so the regular normal path is there will be a public hearing where we can contribute to it.
I believe you can. I believe that's the case. I believe it's in the judge's discretion, but I believe ordinarily there would be a public hearing.
Thank you.
Sure.
Kim Langan Casola, 939 Holmdel Road, and I also have concerns with the New Jersey natural gas application. And you did answer my first question, but would you be able to tell me what you did oppose to their appeal, or can you not?
I really can't offer more because the governing body met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss how it wants to go about this litigation and representing the township's interests, your interests included. So beyond that, what I can tell you is what's a public filing, and that is that we've moved to intervene in the case, and the township is entering the case to oppose the petition.
Okay, because I've spent a lot of time trying to find out exactly what's going on after we finished all that, and I feel like I'm chasing unicorns.
I'm sorry, what's all that? Just the zoning
We had
board?
many meetings, there's a big
zoning
group
board?
of us, yeah, and then the zoning board had the denial, and New Jersey Natural Gas immediately filed appeal, and there was some correspondence, and I finally am able to speak to someone in Trenton who is familiar with this, but what I found out about the public hearing, when there will be one, and what I'd like to ask the committee here, if there is a way that we could be assured that we will be notified, because when they do hold this public hearing, I was told it will be held in Monmouth, Ocean, or Middlesex County, and they cannot tell us residents when or where, and that I need to approach my township in asking when they're notified. So I don't know, do I call someone in the town every 3 days and ask, have you heard about a public
I think
hearing?
what I was hinting at earlier, the governing body.
Yeah, once we have that location determined, we'll certainly put it on our website and we can find ways to communicate. But we have to wait for the discretion of the judge before we have that information.
Okay, because I just wanted on the record that I am a very interested party, and I feel that the township should not settle with the gas company on this because there are huge ramifications. And that's not just me, as having a preserved farm and a historic home across the street with extremely sensitive grapes, animals, etc., residents' homes. But the fact that they're asking for a principal use on the property, let's not just think of this as move it somewhere else. Principal use on the property, that's 33.3 acres. No environmental study was done anywhere there. They never did safety studies. If there were to be a blast, what's the blast zone, etc. So this is extremely concerning, and I just really want to be kept abreast of all this.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So just in response to that, like I mentioned to the governing body, I'll certainly be sharing, as I would in the matter of course, if there's any developments on that hearing, and the administrator will see that the public's notified, and that's obviously going to be a public process administered by the law judge as that proceeds.
Okay, Mike, Jay Yanello, 18 Livewood Drive. Mike, so the township is an interested or intervening party.
Correct.
Right? But so there will hopefully be a public hearing and the public can state their case, but will the township be taking any initiative to defend the public in this endeavor?
I think the initiative is intervening in the case, so the township is
So
interested.
potentially will you be getting expert testimony and engineers?
As you know, I can't discuss what the township's litigation strategy is,
Okay,
or
so-
anything to that effect.
but you
So we're
wouldn't
going
rule-
down a path I can't really respond
You
to.
wouldn't rule that out?
I can't respond to anything about the litigation strategy. I think what I can tell you is the township intervened in the case, which seems to be what the public was asking at the last meeting, and that's been
Okay, because as I think Kim was alluding to, and I followed the industry for a while, the big concern, you may have seen this in some of what some of us write, the big concern is this isn't just a 100-foot square lot the company wants. This is a strategic location where the parent company, New Jersey Resources, could possibly acquire the solar farm and incorporate that into their solar farm portfolio as phase one. And phase two would be, well, solar economics are changing, the panel economics are changing rapidly. This solar farm is really not economic anymore. Let's break it down. And you know what? We need a regional compressor there. And you know what? The shore is still growing. We've got backup generators. We've got more houses converting into natural gas. We really need an LNG buffer for peak shaving purposes. And we really need that on that property too. So this could be much more than just this regular station, as hideous as it is. This could be a big industrial complex, and they could potentially go to the BPU under the same hardship claim they're doing here and say, we need that there. So there's much more at stake, I think, than just this facility. On another note, I'm glad to see the ad hoc committee got together. Am I correct that the ad hoc committee works as a whole with the existing RAC committee or separate?
So once the RFP is awarded, whomever is handling that will work with all the groups within the community, including the Rec Advisory Board, the Ad Hoc Committee, and other public groups that they'll be reaching out to.
Okay, so it's a 20 plus other groups.
It's going to be the entire community.
Okay.
No stone will be
There
unturned.
seems to, I don't want to get into a little match, there seems to be some heavy biases within that group of 20, but we'll keep an open mind. The last thing is, and I don't even know who owns that restaurant, I don't even know what's going on there, but I do remember the Polo. But I was at a meeting here 2 or 3 years ago, and I know one of you was very impatient 2 or 3 years ago, so we can't even fathom what's going on.
We're still impatient.
Wow. So am I correct that we're, and I don't know this, so I'm not trying to be funny here, but I would think, are we losing tax revenue potential on the liquor license and that business not being open? Or no, is that not how it works?
I want to question.
It's peanuts, but it's 20 years.
I want to caution the committee. As I noted earlier, there's an active petition filed by the landowner regarding the liquor petition, which is entering into active litigation. So I would caution that we don't.
So that facility being an idle asset for all these years, we're not losing that much versus the property taxes?
You can see what the township's position is on the litigation and judge for yourself how we're approaching it.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is.
I think
or
you hear
what-
the frustrations of the committee up here, so
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
I think we're all on the same page.
I think we're just one in public portion, right? One time public portion?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so, anybody else?
Let Jenny
That being
speak.
said, I'm going to close public portion of motion. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out.